Hi everybody. Sorry, obviously I am not at school today. I apologize for that. I got home from our HOSA competition and both of my kids are sick. I've actually learned a lot about infectious disease over the last couple of days, and I have learned that the flu virus, which my daughter has, can settle into the muscles of your legs, and my daughter's having some trouble walking. So I apologize, but I have to be home right now. I know you guys are supposed to run the EKG lab today. We're going to postpone that. I'm going to talk to you about what you should have completed by this point and what you're going to work on today, and then we will run the EKG lab when I get back. I would like to take a second and say congratulations to all of you guys who went to competition. I am so very proud of you guys. We walked into a competition that we had no idea what we were doing. It was our first year going, but I am very proud of all of you that went. You guys should ask them about competition. I think it was a lot of fun. It was interesting being our first year there, but they did a really good job. Also, if you happen to see Tana Anderson, you should tell her congratulations. She placed second in her category and has qualified to go to nationals in Anaheim, California in June. So be sure to tell her congratulations. And then also, I promised my daughter that she could say hi to you guys, so say hi. Okay. All right, so now let's talk about what you guys are going to do today. So let's get this switched. All right, on the EKG, you guys should have done quite a bit of your research by now. You should be pretty well set. Let's just go over what you should have done. You should have the heart diagram that you have labeled all of these structures. This is in part 1, step 3. You should have all of these labeled on your heart diagram. You should show the path of the electrical signal. That should be on your heart diagram as well. Make sure you understand what those structures are and what they do. And then you should also have the EKG tracing, what the graph should look like. You have a copy of that on the back of your heart diagram. You should also have that in your lab journal. You should have everything labeled. I also want you to make sure that you understand what each of these little peaks and valleys in this graph represent as far as the anatomy of the heart. What's contracting, what's relaxing, where is the electrical signal, all of those things with respect to your EKG graph. So make sure you understand that. Let's see. The rest of this is all going through the procedure for the lab itself, which we will do when I get back. Now, there are a couple of things on here that we're going to add to this. The 421, that medical history document that you guys had gotten with the previous activity, actually you had gotten it when we did the heart rate activity. It has Anna's EKG on there. You can also go back to the 421 in the LMS, and it has those 2 little video clips. One of them was for the angiogram, and one of them was the EKG. So go back and look at that EKG. What you're looking at is, are the beats rhythmic? And then read the doctor's notes associated with the EKG findings. And then you are going to research what a premature ventricular contraction is. Look at ventricular tachycardia and ST elevation. This is all on step 27 of your procedure for the 423. And then in the follow-up and diagnosis section of the medical document, or the medical history document, you are going to explain these findings, why they are dangerous, and report any recommendations in the recommendation section. So basically, you are going to take that medical history document that you got in 421, which we've kind of been learning little pieces about that as we've gone through heart rate, blood pressure, and now with EKG. You can actually complete this part even though we have not run the lab yet. You are going to look at the things that you found in the medical history document. You are going to tie it to Anna. Look up any of these terminology, okay, any of this terminology that you need to, and then you're going to write your follow-up diagnosis and recommendations. All right. Then, if you go on down to step 28, you are going to look at the 412 autopsy report. So you're going to have to go back a little bit to find 412. If you cannot find yours, go to the LMS and module 412 and you can print another copy. This was the one that had the x-ray of Anna's heart. You'll remember that it showed the pacemaker on there. That was the first time we had talked about a pacemaker. You're going to research the function of a pacemaker as well as why someone would need one. Okay, so that's another thing we're going to tie to Anna on what's going on with her heart. Add any additional ideas regarding possible causes of death. Okay, now that we've been investigating Anna and what's going on with her heart, is that possibly tied to how she died, going all the way back to the beginning of the year. Okay. And then I won't have you update the evidence board, but what I'm going to have you do is think about what you might want to put on the evidence board when I get back. Okay? Now, you should be able to answer all of the conclusion questions. Even though we have not run the lab yet, most of this is tied back to Anna. And so you, based on the research that you've done so far, labeling the heart, doing the EKG graph, looking up the things that are on her medical history, you should be able to answer these conclusion questions. So get as much of that done as possible, and then when I get back, we'll run the lab itself. Okay? Now, I am going to trust that you guys already have most of this done. So it should just be adding a little bit to it. But since today's a long day, you should have plenty of time to get something else done. So, here's what else I want you to do. Get flipped over here. Okay, so that was the end of 4.2. Once I get back and we run the actual EKG lab, then we will have a conclusion question check over that. But what I'm going to have you do, since you should have plenty of time in class today to get some more done, I'm going to have you go ahead and start the research for the next activity. And then we'll just come back and pick up the lab itself when I get back. So the next activity, 4.3.1. On 4.3.1, we are looking at what is cholesterol. So what you need to do is you need to read the introduction. It is going to talk about lipids. This is going to go back to our biomolecules that we were doing earlier in the year. So read through the introduction. Then this is also going to have you pull back out some of your old work. So first thing you're going to do is you are going to pull out your 222 nutritional terms chart. If you remember way back in Unit 2, when we talked about biomolecules, you guys made that great big chart. I believe this is in your Google Docs on this one, but it wants you to review the connection between saturated fats, unsaturated fats, trans fats, and cholesterol. And you need to look at exactly how that is tied to your overall health. You are then going to go to step 2 of your procedure. It gives you a link that you need to go to. You're going to do some notes, list and describe functions in your lab journal. You are welcome to do this in your OneNote. That is fine. Then what you're going to do from there is you are going to be working in a group. So let's show you what your groups are. So let's go over here. Here are your groups. If you need to rewind this video and come back and look at this here in a couple of minutes once you're ready for this part, that's fine. But these are the groups you are going to work in for 4.3.1. Okay, so everybody see who you're working with. All right, we're going to go back over here to the activity, and here's what you're going to do. After you have reviewed your 222 nutritional terms chart, and you've looked at saturated fats, unsaturated fats, trans fats, and cholesterol, what you are going to do, now, I'm not going to have you go into extreme detail on this. I want this to be one page, front page only. You are basically going to make an informational newsletter about these things in purple. Okay, this is step 5 of your procedure. Basically, they are wanting you to make an informational handout about cholesterol and how it is tied to your health. So what you're going to do is you are going to research what I've highlighted in purple here. Again, that's in step 5. You're going to research these things, and this is all tied to cholesterol. What is LDL? What is HDL? What are the differences between the two? How do they differ structurally? Things like that. So you're going to research these questions, and you are going to compile a handout that is meant for high school and college students, telling them about cholesterol, explaining what cholesterol is. Why do you need to be concerned about cholesterol? How is that affected in your diet? How does it affect your overall health? Okay, it is meant to be something that's easy to read. I don't want a whole bunch of paragraphs. Throw some pictures on there. Do some bullet listing of important information about cholesterol. It should be like a flyer, not some kind of big long letter. Okay, it's going to hit the high points, what's important about cholesterol, and move on. Okay, one page, and you are going to work on this as a group. Okay, so let's recap what you're doing for today. Okay, so for today, you are going to finish up EKG. Anything you have not finished in EKG, you should have all of your notes and everything completed right now. If there is something from the other day that you have not finished, that's your responsibility outside of class. Okay, you should have had it done by now. Then you need to pick up this last little bit in 423 for EKGs, and that's these things that I have highlighted here. You can rewind and look at this again, but it's basically steps 27 through 31. Okay, that will probably take you a little chunk of time in class. When you are finished with that, you need to move on to your groups, okay, your pairs, and I think there's a couple of groups of 3. You're going to work on what is cholesterol and get started on this. I do not expect you to have this done. This is not homework, okay? But what I want you to have is you need to at least have this started, okay? We need to keep moving, and I'm really sorry that I'm not there today, but I need you guys to keep working through some material. So we're just getting a head start on the next activity. So you're going to work as a group. You're going to review your terms and begin making a newsletter. Okay? If you have questions, I will try to be close to my computer during class time. Email me if you've got questions. All right? And hopefully, assuming that my kids are okay by Friday, I will be back on Friday. All right? Thanks, guys.